Welcome to Modern Bok. Thanks for joining me, and if you do enjoy our channel, please subscribe and click like, share, so we can spread the news on the great local Bok news. So thank you for another edition of Modern Bok News. This week we're going to be covering some foreign and local news, a little bit of flavour from the game coming up this weekend against New Zealand, also brought in. Let's see how it all goes. So first things first, some interesting news that the Rugby World Cup next year, 2023, will possibly be moving to 24 teams instead of 20 like it currently is, which is exciting news. It's good to see rugby expand across the globe, give more chances and countries an opportunity to compete for that title, and also help them grow their local rugby, as entering the showpiece really does help smaller countries fund and develop their local players, and obviously means that there's a better pool of professional players across the world, which is never a bad thing. So I'm excited to see that. France 2023 is going to be a spectacle and really something to behold. So very, very exciting. Next thing, talking about World Rugby and that, the Boks stick at 7th place this week after a dismal performance last week and a dismal game in all honesty. But Australia have taken a 0.5 rise in the points from it, although that does not move them a position up. They still stay in 5th. Argentina, where they lost New Zealand, doesn't really get affected due to the actual position difference between the two teams, so they stay there where they are, and New Zealand sticks to the top. Well done, New Zealand. Really a lengthen your log lead there, but Ireland is looking strong behind you. We'll see how that goes. That's going to be exciting for next year's World Cup, even at the end of year in tour. Very, very exciting to see. Moving on from that, Zane Kirshner, also in some World Rugby news, has just signed for the Brisbane Bears. That's amazing. He really was a talent and won 2 Super Rugby titles with the Blue Bulls, so good to see him still kicking at 34, still kicking the ball and really performing well. He has been a vision. He was a vision for the Bulls. He did great work there. He's been jumping around now, and it seems the Bears have got some injury-wise and feel this is a good fit. I think he's a good player, and it's nice to see him see out probably the end of his career there. Good for him. So now let's move on a little bit to this last week's game. So the big drama this week obviously has been discussing the Bongi Mbonambe overthrow and how Rassie Erasmus responded to it, how the fans responded to it, and how the players responded to the whole situation. So a lot of people have been saying that Rassie was unfair for taking him off. So right after the overthrow, effectively minutes afterwards, and also be taken off in the first half is normally a real disgrace for a player. It's not, unless injury and that, it's normally not done. And especially after such a move without giving the chance to actually recover is quite a sad thing. But according to Rassie, and I'm going to take him at his word, he has not done this. I don't have any reason not to believe him. It's mainly due to his fitness. Bongi hasn't played a lot, so I think that's fair. And as he has stated after the game, Rassie feels that the fault was not his. It was really mainly, in my opinion, and I agreed in my last video, really Siya Kolisi's fault. I don't want to bring him down the captain, but this is his place where he needs to be. I felt he almost didn't even know the call. He responded slowly and gifted the try. You should always have a backup, and especially knowing the call, you're a forwards captain. It's your responsibility to ensure that things like that are recovered. So that, I feel, is unfair on Rassie to say that he did it because of the overthrow. I think Rassie firmly believes it's due to his fitness, and that he is placing the blame squarely on Siya Kolisi. And as a captain, he must take that and prove himself in the next game. So nobody's at fault. Mistakes happen. It is life, but we need to understand that small mistakes like this can change games. And that move, that whole section, altered the game. And in a World Cup, when there's so many more of those vital moments, Siya Kolisi needs to prove that he is there 100% of the time. He cannot let his guard down for a second in these vital games, especially considering the actual pressure the Springbok squad is under, and they really had given themselves momentum early in that first half. So we'll see how it goes, but I feel it's a little unfair to blame Rassie Erasmus taking him off for anything other than he felt it wasn't good enough for his game. But it was nice to see Mbonambe get a good start, and a stunning start. Before that, he was all over the ball. He really had some good moments and was competing and putting his hand up for that jersey over Malcolm Marx. So if I were Malcolm Marx, I'd be worried, and it's nice to see the rivalry on those two players as they fight for that position going forward in the tournament and looking into next year. So next thing is I'm going to be going over is the Bok coaching issue against New Zealand. So I know this is not exactly news, but it is something we have to discuss. Obviously, the most successful Bok coach in professional era is Nick Mallett at 57%. He's the only Bok coach since professional era to keep a positive, effectively win ratio. against the beast from down under. So that is impressive. New Zealand's consistency always never ceases to amaze not only me but every rugby supporter, and it's something to be applauded. But something to also be looked at what Nick Mallett's era brought in. He's always got some great insights, and it's something that definitely needs to be consulted in this. Obviously, we're talking many years ago, in my opinion, in times when New Zealand rugby actually was not even close to as strong as it is now. So that is a fair point that has to be taken, that he did play probably, I feel, not the strongest New Zealand team he could have faced, but still, nonetheless, at the same, he also had a different Springbok team and performed well. Peter de Villiers next on that list for most successful run with 45% wins, and that's also very, very good. In an era that a lot of people in Bok history disdain, he actually had a very good record against, and he had famously had a victory, famously in New Zealand had a victory there too, which is one of our last in a long time. We haven't beaten New Zealand since 2014, if I'm not mistaken, so we need to work on that. That's an atrocious record, and hopefully this weekend can be done. As for everybody else, pretty much, I think Heineken May is sitting on 33%. Oh no, Jake White. Yes, Jake White is sitting on 33%, and most other coaches are pretty much at 0, with bar 1 or 2. So overall, a very poor record in the last, since professional era against New Zealand. I think we're sitting like 39-15 in wins, so we need to, it's an atrocious record, especially considering that South Africa is still considered the #1 competitor to New Zealand when it comes to win ratio. It's sad to see, and hopefully those tides can turn. Rugby, a sport in general, is a cyclical thing, and as one tide rises, the other falls, and vice versa. So I've got a feeling there is a lot of hope, and we need to just keep pushing it. The only way that you can beat them is by becoming better. We can't expect them to become worse, so South Africa just has to work on it. And so all the other teams in the world, Australia and Argentina, have shown some good things. Australia's first game, I feel the first half was good. Again, conditioning letting them down, and I feel conditioning even let Australia and South Africa down in this last game, because the second half was just a disaster. You could see that the players were exhausted, they just didn't want to be there, and it led to many handling errors and poor play. Argentina, I have to admit, I'll give them credit. You can see that their conditioning, on the other hand, is getting very good, and they are really performing well. They've got an overall strong movements, and they seem to have a reasonably consistent game throughout, although fine, there's something else against New Zealand where they just always overrun you in that last 15 minutes that we need to look at. The Northern Hemisphere teams, I am very happy to see that they are all pushing up in the World Log, and it's going to be a great World Cup due to that, where we're going to have a lot more competition from Southern versus Northern, unlike in the last World Cup where the top 4 all Southern Hemisphere teams. So we'll see how that goes. Lastly, but not least, I'd like to talk about some possible changes to the team that from what I've been looking, and from also some trading videos. It looks like, which will be an interesting move, it looks like Jessie Kriel will be moving to the wing, taking out Cheslin Colby to the bench. It's an interesting move. He has played for the on wing twice before, and didn't do too badly in those occasions. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so he hasn't played too badly on the wing overall. The only thing I'd say is it's an interesting move to do. Cheslin Colby didn't have a bad game, so we'll see how it goes. Lukhanyo are most likely looking to replace him on outside centre. Also, pretty decent games throughout. I feel Estes and held Lukhanyo a bit back, in my opinion, so it'd be nice to see the Islander bring in some better ball to him, and hopefully together there's a lot more stepping and manoeuvrability in that centre pairing, whereas Estes is a much more of a bulldozer. Never a bad thing, but sometimes too much can actually just get predictable. So I think those are some of the big changes they're going to be bringing in. We'll see how it goes. Colby obviously moving to the bench. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and enjoy the week. I'll be bringing out a video tomorrow or the day after on the actual team selections and how I feel the reviewing and the previewing of the Australia-Argentina game and the New Zealand-South Africa game. Very excited to see how that weekend's going to go. It should make for some beautiful and heartwarming rugby, I think. It's going to be always the New Zealand and South Africa rivalry never gets old. There's a whole other team that's brought up for it. And are both Argentina wanting to now regain, considering their confidence in local games. I think that's going to be great. And also Australia coming off of a win will be a good move. So thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video. And please subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you guys later in the week. Thank you.